Okay. Page, page Peches. Amud Peches. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're going to learning the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Hilchos Tefillin Simin Chaf Zayin. The bottom of page Peches. Din Mokim Anachasan V'oifen Anachasan. V'boy Chav Dalasin. Aleph Mokim Anachatzul Shayad. The Yad Smil is in the left hand. Shenemar Al Yod Cha. It doesn't say Yod Cha with a lange Chaf at the ending. It says Chaf Hey. The Darshu Chazal in Gemara Menachis, or Deidish, Yad Keya. Yod Cha is two words, Yad Keya, weak hand, and a Yad Smil, the left hand, Shitasha Keya is the weaker hand. That's the hand you put on Tefillin. Base, where on the hand should you put it? So the Chanicha Begoy v'Habasar Shperek Hazoy Shmemarpek Koiden Ulam Beigin Lahakosif. Between your elbow and your shoulder, there's an area which has the height of the flesh there, where the flesh pops up. The don't put it on the upper half of this part of the arm. It should be in the second half. However, in the second half, it should not be in the bottom of the second half. Don't put it lower than that area where the flesh pops up. It needs to be in a part of your arm which is opposite your heart. That part is directly corresponds to the heart. You should move the bias towards the guf. When he bends his arm down, he holds his arm down. The tefillin shayad should be right directly opposite his heart. Gimel, mi shenikta yodei. Some Rahman Atzlan, his hand was cut. L'mayla min a-kibaytis. His left hand, he does not have a kibaytis to put it on. It's missing. Ein tzarech iniach tefillin b'yaminai. He does not put tefillin on his right hand. He's putter. Aval nikta l'mata min a-kibaytis. If it was cut lower than the kibayis, the chayiv and yitzul sheyad kibayis shall smile. Some say that you're chayiv to put the tefillin on that yad, that left hand. Magen Avraham Pasak, when was Paisik, shall Yemine should put it on his right hand.
If he doesn't have a left leg.
If he doesn't have that part of the left hand. If he doesn't have that part, if he doesn't have a left hand at all, meaning he's missing the kibayis, he doesn't need to put on tefillin on his right hand. However, if he does have the kibayis, just it's missing below the kibayis, then it's a machlokes. Some say put on the left, some say put it on the right.
Oh, so last week the Russian soldiers lost two hands. I think for the full person. So they're planning to make him a hand part that should walk. So he asked which hand should put fit in.
Which?
way I have to hold. Whatever I know this. This is everything I have to hold and right. Which one I who would think the question on that will come? Kentucky is left part of the hand again in the left one.
Look here, v'yesh oimrim, some say,
Even.
kivan she'omer teira al yodcha, l'mayla min hayad, al yodcha, should be higher than the hand. The hainu kibbutz, which is the area of the kibbutz, where the kibbutz, the area where the flesh is higher. The zeh ein yad, this person doesn't have a yad, even though he has a kibbutz. Chainu potter min tefillin shel yad. Some say he's potter from tefillin shel yad at all. So we brought here machlekes, whether he puts on the right or the left. The yesh aimin that he's potter totally for putting on tefillin. Again, halacha yishlam debei Torah, even though he has the area of the kibbutz, but because he's missing yotcha, so you can't say al yotcha. He doesn't have yotcha, so some say he's potter. Again, halacha because we're dealing with a din minat Torah. He should put it on without a bracha. The story that some Tzedek's son had this problem, Baruch Shalom.
Yeah.
He think he was missing his wrist for the wrist and on, tasiyad, something like this. So he has shubas about it in some Tzedek. Yeah.
Which hand should put in?
Yeah, what to do, yeah. It was the Rebbe Zayda, the Rebbe's Alta Zayda. The Rebbe came for Baruch Shalom. The Rebbe's back to the Tzemach Tzedek. So, yeah, I think he did both hands, the Maisa. I think Tzemach Tzedek writes you should do both hands.
Which hand you make the boch?
So, Lamaisa, he said to make the bracha on the shoresh, meaning he said to do one hand and then after the davening to do the other hand. I don't remember which way.
But when he did that one hand,
Not to make a bracha, only make on the shoresh, and have in mind that the shoresh, the bracha, on the shalyat. Yeah, because the suffix, if he's chayev b'chlal, if he's chayev in the tefillin shel, yeah, it says here lechein yinich b'lei bracha. And actually, I see on the bottom of Chav Daled, they bring Re'ei Mashadambas of a Shut Tzemach Tzedek, Chaim Simen Zayin. By the way,
he said, makes a mitzvah tefillin under Sharosh.
in this case, Tzemach Tzedek said you should say Lahaniach Tefillin L'Shoresh.
Okay.
Because you're going to be koilel also the Tefillin Shel Yad, Shalaniach Tefillin. We had a discussion last week that it seemed like from the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that if you only are wearing tefillin shorosh, you should make al mitzvah tefillin. But Peretz brought up that Rabbi Merozav had told him, according to his memory, that Rabbi Merozav told him when he broke both of his wrists during COVID, that he only was able to put on the shorosh, that he should make the bracha lahaniach tefillin on the shorosh.
And have a kavanah.
So Lamaisa, I'm not sure where this comes from, but it could be it's based on the Shuvah of Tzemach Tzedek. But the Shuvah of Tzemach Tzedek, it seems that there's two ways of understanding it. Some want to understand that, okay, whenever you're putting on the Shoresh, you say Laniach Tefillin. But others are Medayik. To me, this makes more sense. I don't know what the Rav's Shita was. I don't speak to him about it. But the Tzemach Tzedek is talking about a case where you're also putting on Shal Yad. You want to pat to the Shal Yad, so then you say the Haniach on the Shoresh, and it also patters the Shal Yad. Masha'inkin, if you're not B'chlal putting on Shal Yad, you only have a Shoresh, you're doing Mitzvah Tefillin with just a Shoresh, then L'churi you only make a Mitzvah Tefillin, which that's a clear Psak in Shulchan Aruch. So this is something we have to, I think your brief said he was going to find out, he was going to vary. But I did call him the next day because I did see this Shalos and Shuvah Tzemach Tzedek that I said maybe it came from here, because he does say to put Laniach Tefillin. So I see that some
I never
places.
had it in the I put somebody only should wash. I always managed to put Shiyat wash. I saw a video how somebody in a supermarket, but the guy said, "No, I don't have time." Okay, say Shema, just put your wash and made it water.
Yeah, it's a separate mitzvah. Hayil Tavis Beinecha, separate mitzvah.
No, I don't remember which wash I made. Clear for on
Dalit. Minig Yafa Benachin is a very appropriate minig. She'ayud Shakesh Tfilin Shiyad Noit L'tzad Alev, Tfilin Shiyad Olav L'tzad Chutz. When the yud of the tefillin, the kesher tefillin, the yud of the shalyad, which side should it be on? The minig yafa v'nochen, it should be on the side near the heart. The tefillin should be to the outside, and the yud should be over here, inside facing the yad.
the only time you have different is when you put somebody's a righty and you don't have the on your left feeling. So you turn on the
Right.
the only time.
Now, furthermore, siv hey, yesh lizayer shaloi tozes ayud shekeshem atfila tam shenizbar b'zayer. The Zayir says you should be careful that the yud of the kesha tefillin should always remain next to the tefillin shalyad. Should be next to it. So the Rebbe writes in a letter that there are people, many people wear a shaitel, a cover, shaitel on top of their tefillin shalyad to protect it, right?
Like
So a little box. So when you make that box, you should cut out in it
the you should touch the feeling.
the area, so the yud will always be next to the minig yafa nachin. It's a minig nachin. Tzivav laniach tefillin shalyad beingen shemabarta shaba iveres ritzui tmenach l'tzad hakosef. Aksitza lo yitzad yad. The mabarta means mabarta is melashon over. The area that the ritzua goes through the tefillin should be to the shoulder. The other side is called the katsitza. The whole bayis should be to the yad. But the area where the ritzua passes through should be closer to your shoulder. So I want to tell you something. When you're putting on lefty tefillin on a righty, this is where you got a problem. You have a choice. You have to make a decision. What is the more appropriate minute where you're going to put it on him?
Remove the kesher from the other side.
If you flip it around, what's going to happen is you're going to have the yud next to the heart, which is what we learned in Sif Dalit, and minig yafa v'nachin. But on the other hand, your mabarta, where the strap is going through, is now going to be to the yad, which you learned in Sif Vav, that it's a minig nachin to keep that the strap should be the tarakosef. If you don't flip it around, then the yud's going to be on this other side. So what do we choose? What goes on Miftzayim? What do people do? What do they do on Miftzayim?
The easy way just to
when you have a lefty on the Miftzayim, what do? You have a righty tefillin? Do you have any lefties on your ribs?
We flip it around.
Flip it around.
Well, which way is it called?
That the yud should always be by the heart.
So what happens if you move the kesher? You're able to move the kesher?
Yeah, you just go around the other side. So it's outside, not to the heart.
Not to the heart. Yeah.
That's the easiest way to do it.
L'maisa, it seems that minadin, either way, it's okay. It's okay. It's just Shaila is which minig yafa we should take. In Dalit he says minig yafa v'nachin the yud. Vavi says minig nachin. So maybe Dalit he says minig yafa v'nachin, and this one only says minig nachin. I don't know. It's a Shaila from Arav. Which one is more important minig to keep on to when you're flipping his phone?
I said something. It's
Yeah, seems not halacha.
So
Either way, you're okay. Shiloh is just what's the better way to do it.
If you don't have enough to do 7 plus here, take away from the 7 put here is more important. Shin. That's it. You do 5 only and then do a shin. It's more important than have 7 nothing.
I'll tell you what I think. Practically speaking, when you move the mabarta around, it's hard.
Meaning to the other side?
It's if you take the mabarta and you flip it around,
right?
Because you want to get the yud. I find that it's just hard to keep the tefillin flap up like this,
right?
Because you want to, if you turn around the bias and you put on the right hand to get the yud here, what happens is that the bias is the opposite.
Looks like it's going to fall down.
Tefillin are like
yes,
right. So it's l'chora better to do the other way, even though the yud is to the outside. You're not going to do that minig, but this way you're putting on the tefillin in more of a normal manner. It's going to stay on. It's going to be yoy to the mitzvah. Otherwise, the tefillins are going to come off.
Cool.
You're going to have to do something funny to keep it on. There was probably some booklet somewhere, some Hilchos Mifta Tefillin. What should you do in all these situations,
Carry around
We have to ask the Bachrim what they do.
last time I was in Israel in Bedouin airport, I had some time for the fax. You guys told me no. So a guy comes, I need money. Right over here, come. So the guy in the airport says, no, we have exactly fitting for him. We're prepared already for this. Wow.
The airports, they're prepared.
No, but I'm saying so many people put in here, so they have right fitting.
Shmuel David Reitchik. So he was, Avraham Shem Tov would arrange in the White House the shluchim should come to meet the president. So I don't know which president it was. It was Reagan or something, but Shmuel David was there. So he didn't get all while they're waiting for the president. He was busy doing Mifta Tefillin in the White House.
Right.
So he found out that one of the chief staffs over there, So he asked him if he could put on tefillin. He's like, here in the White House? Shmuel David starts opening up closets over there and found some woman pushes him in over there and puts in tefillin with him over there and I heard a story recently. One of the Kunyans, I saw this video where I think there was like a Sheva Brachis where Shemenda Gorelik's son, Yossi Gorelik, he has a shul in Crown Heights, Anshe Lubavitch, and he was saying a story in front of one of Shlomo Kunyan's sons. And he said that I was there at a Shabbos once when they went to go visit in Washington. They had went to visit, it was Bezier, they went to visit the president.
Right.
And Shlomo Kunyan was there, and he said that it was Friday afternoon. No one was there. The Bachrim were all in Mivtzayim. They were getting ready for Shabbos. And it was very quiet in 770. And the Rebbe would leave Erev Shabbos for like an hour, go home. And he said, I was standing there, and Shlomo Kunyan was there, waiting for the Rebbe. And the Rebbe came out. The Rebbe asked him, no, what happened in Washington? So he gave over the report. And the Rebbe was happy. And then the Rebbe turned to leave to the door. And then Shlomo added another detail to the episode. And Shlomo said, he's saying the niggin l'chatchil riber of the Marash and Bey's ear. So this was already a little surprising. The Oval Office singing l'chatchil riber, it sounded a little bit. So he said that the Rebbe turned around with his hand, like Darton. So Shlomo already was he started to shake, and Shlomo said, "Stille hate."
You can't fool that. You know exactly what.
He was underneath his breath. He was singing L'Chatchil River in the Oval Office. Now they're being mefaisim the clip that the Rebbe said after Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981.
Okay.
So the Rebbe said a sicha about the education, about he was from a rich family, and it wasn't people always saying it's from the poor families, from the slums, but over here it's from the rich families. Seems in this case also the guy had a good
20 years old boy.
Yeah, he graduated.
Yeah, but who said that? That's the question.
No one knows. No. No one knows anymore.
Right.
Knows the story. Siv Zayin. Yesh oimrim shetzari sheidaber chaitzis ben atfilin lipsari shenemer al yodcha mashma yodei mamish beloy chatzis mitayim. Adim mitfilin shareish so l'zar bedaber shaloi yesh shum daber chaitzis mitfilin sayrei. Offer a kina mesonika chatzitza. So some say you have to be very makbid, there's nothing in between. And therefore, even if you had a lice, a dead lice, a louse, a lice, and dirt in between, it's a chatzitza. Therefore, some have the minik. The Shalah Kaddish brings down to wash the area of the Tefillin Shareish. You know, people didn't go to the shower every day. Should have washed their area. Not only underneath the bayis, also the Vitsuis, whatever is shayches to the Kshira, then a makish and makib yad pam achas. Mash makib sareish, that's the ikr. Underneath the bayis or the Vitsuis. Yeshem others say, Shein Salazar Klal, Shein Davar Chayz bin Tefillin, Vasari Lachatzayre. No. Other Rishonim say, Flakes Rishonim. You don't need to be careful about chatzitza. It's on you, it's on you. The halach is not like the second opinion. We call Makim Adam, top of page Sadik. Adam Shu Ol Nezilo, someone who gets a lot of colds. He should not get the coldness. He can't reveal his head, and it's covered the whole time. He's about to miss a tefillin. If we tell him you have to put it on your head without any chatzitza, he's not gonna want to do it because he's gonna get sick. Best we should allow him to rely on the second opinion. To place the tefillin shareish on a thin head covering, and not to make a bracha because the first opinion says the problem of chatzitza. A thick hat, you definitely can't wear. Because you need to put the tefillin shareish opposite the area where the child, when a baby is born, there's a soft area on the head. That's the area you're supposed to put tefillin. You're putting it on a thick hat. It's not like considered like it's on your head b'chalal. Even if you are being makel because of your situation to wear a thin cap underneath your tefillin, you have to cover it so people shouldn't see that you have it. You should cover your tefillin. So people should not learn that you're allowed to do that unless if you're only doing it because you have an oines gadol. But we don't want people to learn out from the situation. It's very important to hear. A lot of times there are situations that a person gets a heter from a rav, a legitimate heter, that you have a shas tchak situation, you could do kach v'kach. However, what happens if you do it publicly? People see and they think, oh, look, so-and-so is doing it. Look at this chashuv person is doing it. And they learn from it. And they think it's an okay behavior. You taka have a heter from a rav. But it doesn't mean you have to go publicly and do it. You have a heter because of your situation is unique. You have the heterim which a Shulchan Aruch applies for you. The other people will learn from you and think it's okay, and they don't know your situation. So yes, they should be down like kafsfus and everything, but l'maisa, they might think this is legitimate and it's okay to do this l'chatchila. It's important to recognize this. I one time heard from a Rav, he said there's 3 conditions when you can give a heter. So the heter has to be given for a yachid, a private individual. Well, the heter is given temporarily, not permanently. And the heter is given even to the yachid, even temporarily, only in a manner when it's not going to cause a michshel rabim that people are going to start hearing about it and thinking it's okay.
Oh.
So you have to keep in mind
what the
effects of what you're going to say. Sivches.
What you're talking about when you have people with a lot of hair? With a lot of hair.
Chatzitza, big problem.
So I said, you make a whole, you don't make a whole.
Tefillin shel yad to make a bracha. Put not.
Better to put and it'll be a chatzitza than nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing harm by putting it on. There's no harm by putting it on.
Just a chatzitza. It might not regard the mitzvah, but it would fit.
It's a suffix, let's say. You're not clear, you know. Sivches. Yesh la'adam maka. The maka nechis tefillin shel yad. If someone has a maka, a wound in the area where he wears his tefillin shel yad, he should still wear it. Shaloi ala maka. Not on the spot of the wound. If I'm not putting it there, I'm not wearing tefillin. There is a space on the kiboides, that eye part on your arm, that you could put 2 pairs of tefillin there. If the entire area has a wound, and it's painful to put on top of the makkah, I'll pid in your potter mitfillin shel yad. If it's possible, you should put a shmata, a band-aid on the wound. Or put on top of your shirt without a bracha. Because remember that there's a sheet that holds that a chatzitza is okay, a thin chatzitza is okay. So put it on without a bracha. Takshizar lochas tefillin shad shalei tehi nidis. Shemahoyu l'chalois, chalois v'loi la'acherim lois.
After the good work.
I think it's for tznius reasons.
We should see the hand. They don't wear a short sleeve for that purpose. And then the minute they finish the putting, they put the sleeve down all the way.
Truth is, I have to see. Maybe it's based on this thing. Well, let's see. When do we say this din that you have to cover it? Should cover the tefillin shel yad is only when you're putting it on something which a derech is not to be there. Yeah. Like when you put it on a beged or smartutin, your beged is visible. People see. So people see it, then you have to cover it. If you're wearing it like you normally do, you wear tefillin on your basar, you have no wound, a makkah, ain't tzarach hasaisa. Even if your shirt and your jacket are ripped and people can see your tefillin, Torah did not require that your tefillin should be covered. And afilam he needed sirach shtehei menachas moshe darkly tamachos in the kibbutz. The ikar is when we say v'ha yala ois l'chol ois, it's for you and ois, and not for chedim, means you should put it on a spot which is normally not seen. Normally it's covered. Normally you have a sleeve over it. So put it over there, I don't need to cover my tefillin. But if I'm wearing my tefillin on top of my sleeve, because I have this issue with my wound over there, on top of my sleeve, so then it's not on a place which is always covered, then I need to cover it.
So he's doing it so other people should not see it. What you learned before, you're doing it just so other people should see it, so not going to say, oh, that's the way to put it.
Look, it's an interesting drasha, but the drasha is like this. The tefillin should be in a spot that's private. That area is not usually visible.
Right.
By most people, that area is
Right.
not visible. Now, in this, so when you put it on that spot, even the other people could see your tefillin, it's still considered your ice. Because it's in a makim, which is your private area. It's l'haya l'cha la'is.
Nacho.
It's l'cha.
Right.
However, if the person has a wound, he's bruised up, he has a wound, he can't put the tefillin directly in his arm, so he's going to wear the tefillin on top of his sleeve. The sleeve is something that's always visible to everyone, so you're not going to have a hoya l'cha la'is, it's for you. So then in that case, you have to cover it. But not normally you have to cover.
When somebody has a
This that you see, certain rebbes or sheshivas,
Yes.
Chassidus Shayidin, that they cover after they put on the tefillin shalosh, they take their sleeve and they pull it over their hand. You see many
Right.
people do this.
Or put it inside the jacket.
I think this is for tznius reasons.
Oh.
Because they usually keep that area covered, saying brachas and like that, they cover it.
Somebody else broke his hand.
The Rebbe was not makbid in it.
Like,
Remember he used to
The
wear
Rebbe
shorts
had
anyway?
short sleeves, and
But
the
it
Rebbe
does.
was not makbid to cover it.
I
By the way, there's something else, another discussion, that many have the minig, during the bracha they cover it. Because your elbow is exposed, because your upper arm is exposed, there are some that take their talis or their jacket, like Bachrim will take their jacket, or old people have a talis, will take and will throw it over, and say the bracha, and then give a pull. But that's only b'shas the bracha they do that. The amidas habracha. However, we find other people that they have a minig that they cover it, they cover the whole davening. The Rebbe didn't have this minig, but you see, certain chassidim have this
I've
minig.
seen that.
You've seen it, right?
Somebody will hold his
And I think it's based. My understanding is that's based on like modesty. See, they don't usually cover. They don't usually wear short sleeves. They wear long sleeves. So they wear. Even now, they're covering it.
Plastic thing. Why do we have that plastic?
It's not a. It's just to cover protection. You don't need to have it. Just protection. You know, the corners are rubbing
But
against
then
you.
you cannot use that as a cover for the issue that you were talking.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
If somebody
Still visible, I guess.
broke his hand and he has a cast on his head, what do you do then?
Oh,
This was a case of parrots. You had casts on both arms, all the way up, all the way up.
So
Over there, you had. Wow.
you could put it.
You can't. There's nothing you can do.
you don't move it to the other hand. When you have a cast, so obviously you're not using that hand. So the whole,
He had both arms that way.
yeah.
You don't have. If you have one arm, I don't know. It's a good question. Huh?
If you're writing, you're liking that.
Now we're going to discuss righty and lefty.
But you don't put on the cast. That's for sure. That's what's for sure.
Before it's thick. Before it's
Very
thick.
Right.
So you don't have the heter. We said earlier there is opinions that say that you could put on tefillin on a thin
If I
clothing like a sleeve,
Right.
or a band-aid, there wouldn't be a problem. The tefillin on top. We don't make a brach on it, but some shit hold it's okay. But a thick cast is problematic. Today they started not making casts though. Mainly the casts now are these ones that open now a lot.
Oh.
They're not as much. They don't do as much as the old the plaster the cast.
You have like a hand schmuck, like
And that you can open. They have like this thing that opens. You can go take a shower there.
And it's thin too to put it in.
If it's thin, it's not a problem. I mean, it's better, much easier. Sif test, an important sif. Iter yad yimini, page sadik sif test. Iter yad yiminoi. someone whose right hand is weak hand. He's a lefty, basically. So how do we determine lefty in halacha? If you do everything with your left hand, you're a lefty. Nothing to discuss, no machlekes about it. He should put his tefillin on his left. His left is, he's a min shakal of his right hand. That's his weaker hand. That's his yad cha, his yad keya. Now here's a bigger chiddush. There's some discussion about this. But the Alter Rebbe paskins based on the Ramah. Even if you do everything with your right hand, you're a righty from all perspectives. There's only one thing you do with your left. You write with your left hand. What do we do in this case? He should put in his right hand his tefillin. Why? Why is writing so vital? And the next pasuk uksavtem. Ma kasiva biyamin, af kshira biyamin. Just like you write with your right hand, you put on tefillin in your right hand. Meaning, we follow, when it comes to which hand you put on tefillin, we follow the weaker hand is the one that you don't write with. When we dikshire biyamin, we cloud anochas tefillin shel yad al smoil. To be yad shu koiseva, so likshit tefillin shel yad al yad shekenegdoi. Since kshira is in the right hand, the hanoch of the tefillin is the opposite hand that you write it with. Top of page Sadak Aleph. If you write with your right hand, everything else you do with your left hand. Even if he also writes with his left hand, he writes with both hands, and he does everything else with his left hand. He eats with his left hand, he throws his ball with his left hand, everything with his left, and he writes. But he also writes with his right hand. Filu kois of gam ishmel kadam kiv in the kois of gam min shokoladam. Sarich likshos at filun shayad al yad shekenegdo. Then we follow the right. We go the opposite of your right hand. You do your left hand like normal. Because your right hand you do right with, we can consider your left hand the yad keya. Ve'ein tzarich loimer mushoylit. What happens if you're, what is it called, ambidextrous, right? You do both hands. You're equal in both hands. Which hand should you put on tefillin with? The left hand, because that's where most people put on us. One more sif, and then we'll talk about this a little bit more. Yeah?
So with what is his name? Rabbi Simpson used to sit inside the Rebbe room, writing the answer for the Bar Mitzvah, Bris, and all this stuff. So he looking at the Rebbe has a book like this, and the Rebbe has two pens, and they write. The Rebbe pick up his hand, size, and say, continue.
When is this all discussing? When you're born a lefty. It's called the iter yad. Hilchos had to look at the smiley. So shar kol ma'asav oisim min ein dinik iter. V'niach al smal shekolam shehu yad ke'eshaloi. If someone trained himself later on in life that he should write with his left hand and do everything with his left hand, he's still a righty. You were born a righty, you're a righty. Avahirgis alsmei last is kol ma'asav b'smoil. However, I'm sorry, I did not say correctly. In this case, you made yourself do everything right with your left hand. Everything else you still do with your right. But you moved your writing to your left hand. Which we said earlier on, when you're naturally born that way, we follow the hand that you write with. So you're considered al pi Torah when it comes to tefillin perspectives a lefty. You put on tefillin in your right hand.
Even though you
But since you were marging yourself to do this, it's not natural. So and everything else you do with your right hand, you're still a righty. Now here but if you manage to move everything over to your left hand, even though you didn't do it in a natural way, it was unnatural. You trained yourself to do everything in your left. Because now it's your shvacha hand, you have to do it in your right hand. I'm going to stop here. This is the Alter Rebbe's psak that we follow the writing. If you're naturally born that way, you follow the hand that you write with. So if you don't write with your right hand and you write with your left hand, even if you do everything else, you're a righty. Just your writing is your left. According to the Alter Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch, which is also the Ramah's psak, the earlier paiskin, you put tefillin on your right hand.
the main thing is what you write.
Siva.
So if you write with your left, then you put tefillin on your left. Oh, you on your right hand.
Yeah, unless you do both.
Right.
If you also write in your right hand, then even if you do everything else with your left hand, including writing, we're still going to stick that you're a righty, because as long as you have the capability of writing your right hand. We go basar ksiva, ukshartem uksavtem. However, the Alter Rebbe's grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek, did not hold exactly like Kizeda on this issue. He has a tshuva responsa in his Shilos of Tshuva Tzemach Tzedek, where he writes that you don't go you don't go after the ksiva.
Which hand you use the most?
He says that if you do everything with your right hand, you're still a righty. He says if you do something else, let's say like you eat or something else with your left hand, and you write, then he would say you're
everything you do with the right
everything you do with your right, and you just write with your left hand,
doesn't happen.
it doesn't change. The question is, who do we go like? It's Tzemach Tzedek and Alter Rebbe. It's an old shaila.
Right.
There was a mashpia Montreal in Wolf Greenglass. Shalom. You remember him, right?
He put what?
So the Wolf Greenglass had a son who had this question, and he wrote to I think he wrote to the Rebbe at first. The Rebbe told him to discuss it with the older Chassidim.
Wow.
And he wrote this to all the older Rabbanim, Siknei Rabbanei Chabad of the previous generation. He wrote them all letters. And he got all the responses back, and then he published it all like in a kovetz, and he published what their findings were, and what it came out for what most had written was the psak is that in this issue we don't follow the Tzemach Tzedek. We follow the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, that
thing is
which hand you write with,
Right.
and Lamaisa. There are some that have the minig that are in this situation because of this machlokes. After davening, they put on tefillin on the other hand. After davening, they put on the other hand.
Just to say Shema.
Yeah, there are a number of people like that.
I saw it. Right.
When there's shilos and sfeikis, then some people will do that. Yiddish Shemayim, a big Yiddish Shemayim. Will be concerned, the general psak halach is we follow Shulchan Aruch, we go bust to the writing. And that's what's important to see when your child's getting close to bar mitzvah, or your grandchild, which hand he's writing with, to keep an eye on it. But someone who's a big Yiddish Shemayim is going to be machmer for other opinions, and we'll put on tefillin for a short minute after davening to be yoytz to the other shit.
Right.
Not
Only when you have the situation.
not
Yeah.
time.
No,
Oh,
no, only the situation. As a chumrah. Only as a chumrah. Not everyone does it. That's not the minig. Minig is we follow the writing regardless. Again, if you write with your right hand, we're still going to follow your right hand. Then you can say you're going to point to the left. Even though you also write with your left, and you do everything else with your left, we're still going to say you're righty for this purposes.
Welcome.
Okay, Rabbi say, I'm going to mafsik from Aiden.
Thank you.
Shakaya for joining everyone. And Shakaya, pleasure to have you on the Zoom.
You up to now? It's a miracle. You just have to wait